And at the State of the Union tonight, the President will be speaking to a chamber filled with victims from gun violence. And joining me now is New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly. And Commissioner Kelly, thank you very much for taking the time.
Good to be with you.
What do you want to hear from the President tonight about laws, changes in the laws that will actually help make people safer in New York City and other urban areas around the country?
Well, I think we'll hear the President push his agenda. We know that it includes universal background checks. We know that we're looking for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, and to strengthen the databases in the NICS system, the National Instant Crime Background Check System. I think those three things we'll hear about. We'll hear about the scourge of gun violence, and obviously the President will refer to Newtown, the horrific events that happened there in December. I had a meeting yesterday with several police chiefs with the Vice President, and that clearly was the topic of conversation. I think it's fair to say that the chiefs that were there certainly supported the President's agenda. I know the New York City Police Department, certainly Mayor Bloomberg does as well.
Mayor Bloomberg is actually putting his money behind this, his personal money, contributing to the campaign with Gabby Giffords, the new public service announcements, and she's going to be there, as well as Andrea Pendleton's family with the First Lady. But at the same time, there is such a big lobbying effort against new gun laws. Do you feel that this is a moment that could pass, or is this going to be different this time? Oh,
I think certainly it's a moment that could pass, and I think that really was the theme of the discussion yesterday. That time is of the essence. You continue to kick this can down the road. If it is kicked down the road, then I think you'll see the public interest wane. We know that there's been a bit of a sea change in the country with the effect of what happened in Newtown, but yeah, we think that that certainly could be lost. And what was discussed yesterday is getting it to the floor, getting it to the Senate at least next month. And everyone agreed, certainly the political folks, they agreed that it was very important to get a vote on the President's agenda as quickly as possible.
Should the President keep pushing for the assault weapon ban, or is that too heavy a lift, and should you focus instead on background checks and some of the things for which there is more consensus?
Well, you folks in Washington know that certainly better than law enforcement people do. You have to look at what's possible, what's practical, but I don't see any logical need for assault weapons. They don't have any recreational needs, and that was certainly something the President put forward. I think you should continue to push that issue. There's a lot of talk about it being a heavy lift, but I think it still very much should be on the table as far as the President's proposals going forward.
New York City had a record low of homicides in 2012, and handguns are really the problem in New York City and other urban areas. What is your message to Chicago, to Philadelphia, to other cities that have not been able to get a handle on homicides the way you have in New York?
No, we're not able to give a message to other cities. Each city is different culture, different demographics, but what we're doing in New York is working for us. We have very proactive enforcement strategies. We have Operation Impact, where we put lots of police officers in the concentrated form in areas where we see a spike in shootings, a spike in violence. Right now we're focusing on these crews, these gangs of young people that we believe are responsible for about 30% of our shootings. We put a whole new approach in place. We're using our attorneys. We're increasing our gang division. We're certainly monitoring social media very closely. It's been a treasure trove of information for us, and that's working as well. But we're certainly not in a position to advise other cities.
And finally, to the victims of gun violence who are in the chamber tonight, what would you say to them in terms of giving them a sense that the law enforcement officials in this country, the politicians, and the President are really committed to making something happen this time?
Well, I think we have seen a change. You can feel it. You can certainly read it in the media. People are tweeting about it all the time. So I think, as you said before, this whole issue has a shelf life. I think we have to push it now as best we can, and I think the victims can be a very important voice in this regard, and just their presence there tonight will be a very strong message. So it's the time to act, and I think that'll certainly be part of the President's mission tonight as well.
Commissioner Ray Kelly, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks for joining us.